U.S. Farm Report weather is brought to you by H&S Manufacturing. The new 1200 series Big Dog forage boxes now feature new heavy-duty dual gearbox-driven apron chains and are available in 26 and 30-foot models. Find out more about the Big Dog boxes at the H&S website.
It was a wild week of weather for California and the West Coast. Meteorologist Andrew Whitmire joins us now. Andrew, California is in for another big dose of wet weather this weekend.
This weekend and throughout at least the first half of next week, we're going to continue to watch again more storm systems to approach the western coast here of the U.S. and that's going to allow for well above average rainfall amounts, especially for the Sierra Mountains, as well as for the northern and central portions here of California. We'll also be watching a few low pressure systems coming off the southern and central Rockies, which will likely bring with it more moisture chances to parts of the Midwest, Great Lakes states, Tennessee, Ohio River valleys, looking at more above average precipitation here as we head on into mid-month. Let's take a look at the rainfall out west, though, up across the northwestern portion there of Washington, around Seattle, Portland. Could be looking at around anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of rain. And meanwhile, again, parts of California, especially areas right along the coastline from San Francisco up north, could be looking at over 6 inches of rain. And you factor in the snow with this as well across the Sierra Nevadas. They're going to be measuring to get in multiple feet here, anywhere from 3 to 6 feet of snow localized will be falling again across these mountain ranges, which will certainly again continue to add to the precipitation totals out west. But watch what happens once we head towards late month, January 21st through the 28th. We shut off that moisture train out west. We start to go back below average for precipitation. And meanwhile, we'll start to see it becoming a little bit more active potentially across the eastern half of the country, which basically outside of a few stronger storms off towards the deep south and a few systems up around the Great Lakes, Midwestern states, it's been fairly quiet for the East Coast so far this month. But I do expect that to begin to change, though, as we head towards late month. That's all thanks to our jet stream that's eventually going to end up changing its direction here. Here we are paused on Monday. We still have that atmospheric river out west, but watch what happens once we get towards the latter half of this upcoming week. We're going to potentially see this upper level ridge beginning to build out west. That'll again begin to shut off that atmospheric train of system after system. Meanwhile, as we head towards later on this week, we're going to be watching next weekend for this big deep trough that could likely develop here. And as long as this starts to pan out, we could be looking at becoming a little bit more active across to the eastern half here of the country and potentially a little bit more snowier as well for parts of the New England coastline. Let's take a look at the drought monitor released January 10th here. And the one thing to take note is California. Notice how there's not much red showing up at all, just a very small, tiny little sliver that doesn't even account to 0.5% there left in the extreme drought. And we're going to continue to see significant improvements here as we head on into next week. Meanwhile, the area that is still needing the precipitation is western Kansas. Let's take a look at the forecast for this Monday, January 16th. We'll be watching another Colorado low developing. That'll bring rain to the Great Lakes, Midwestern states. And once we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we'll be watching another storm system developing across the central U.S. and marching its way eastward.
Well, what big surprises in USDA's latest report sent corn and soybean prices soaring? We will break it down with Dan Bosse and Peter Meyer next.